Welcome to students of second PUC. This is session 2 of chapter 2, which is electrostatic potentials and capacitance. So before I start, let us just recall shortly what we had done in session 1. So what are the things that we had learnt? We had learnt what is electrostatic potential energy, which was work done in bringing a charge from infinity to that point. Here charge can be any charge q, and we had derived, we had learnt what is electrostatic potential. The same, it is work done in bringing, in this case it is a unit positive charge from infinity to that point. We had learnt what is potential difference, which is nothing but difference in potential between 2 points. You can also define it as work done in bringing a unit positive charge from a point of higher potential to a point of lower potential. I just missed two things. We had learned the SI unit for potential is 1 volt. The other way of writing this is 1 joule per coulomb. So generally they may ask to define the SI unit of electrostatic potential, or they may ask to define 1 volt. So how do I define? The potential at a given point is said to be one volt if 1 joule of work is done in bringing 1 coulomb of charge from infinity to that point. So that's it. How do I define 1 volt? The potential at a given point is said to be 1 volt if 1 joule of work is done in bringing 1 coulomb of charge from infinity to that point. This is the definition for 1 volt, or definition for SI unit of potential. Also, we had missed the dimensional formula for electrostatic potential. So let us see what it is. So electrostatic potential is work done by charge. So if I am to find the dimensional formula for electrostatic potential, so take the dimensional formula for work and dimensional formula for charge. So dimensional formula for work is m to power 1 L to power 2 T to power of minus 2. This we had studied already in first PUC, the dimensional formula for work or energy. Charge is current into time, or ampere into time. So simplify this, you will get this as m to power 1 L to power 2 t to power of minus 2, this t up will become minus 1, so minus 3, a to power minus 1. So the dimensional formula for electrostatic potential is going to be m to power 1, L to power 2, t to power minus 3, a to power minus 1. So we will move on further. So we come across a derivation in this chapter, the first derivation, which is electrostatic potential at a point due to a point charge. So once you see at the topic for the derivation, we will recall some of the tools that we need to derive this. So what are the tools? First thing, we need to know the definition for electrostatic potential. So I only mentioned here as a tool. So for electrostatic potential, it is defined as work done in bringing a unit positive charge from infinity to that point P. Mathematics, in the first session I have written the mathematics. If you remember, it is given by integration of the external force dot product of small distance dr, and it is integrated from the point infinity to the position P or to the distance r. Next, as you move on in the derivation, we will come across integration of 1 by r square with respect to dr. This is a standard integral formula that we need to know. So integration of 1 by r square will give me minus 1 by r, and if there are limits, the lower limit and the upper limit, I will have to include it after the integration. So integration of 1 by r square with respect to dr gives me minus 1 by r, and if there are limits, I will write the same thing as minus of 1 by r2, the upper limit, minus 1 by r1. With this information, I can now derive. In your final exams, whenever a derivation is asked, generally the derivation would be with a diagram and initial explanation. Many of you forget to write the initial explanation. The proper way of deriving any derivation is you have to mention the initial explanation. So what are the things that you have considered, or what are the things that we know? So let me start. So first I have taken a point charge plus q, fixed charge, it is fixed at O. Now I need to find the potential at some point P. So I will draw the diagram. I have drawn plus q, and along a straight line somewhere I have P whose distance is at r. To find P, I need to know the definition for potential. So first we will note down the considerations. Consider a charge plus q placed at a point O. We need to find potential at P, which is at a distance r from O. Then I would write from the definition for potential, the potential at point P is given by V is equal to work done in bringing a unit positive charge from infinity to P. Okay, then that work done is given by integration of infinity to r f external dot dr. Let me proceed. Also, we know that in terms of magnitude, the external force is equal and opposite, is equal to the electrostatic force. So this will be equal to integration of electrostatic force into dr. As already mentioned, the electrostatic force and the displacement, they are both in opposite direction. So if I take the dot product, now I will get it as, so I will get it as integration of infinity to r, the vector converted into just the magnitude Fe dot dr into cos 180 degree, as the direction of field and the displacement are opposite. I will get this as integration of infinity to r. The force is given by 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into q into 1 coulomb divided by, I'll take some arbitrary point A which is at some arbitrary distance r dash. So here I'll take this as r dash square, cos 180 is minus 1, so I'll get this as minus into dr. Take all the constants out, minus 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into q. I am supposed to integrate only 1 by r dash square with respect to dr, and the limits are from infinity to the distance r. Okay. Next, I'll continue this. So integration of 1 by r dash square will become minus 1 by r. So minus q by 4 pi epsilon naught. This part I'll get it as minus of 1 by r dash, and apply the lower limit and the upper limit from infinity to r. Minus into minus, I'll get it as plus q by 4 pi epsilon naught. Now apply the limits. So the upper limit minus the lower limit, 1 by infinity, it's nothing but 0. So I will get the potential as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into q by r. So we have derived the expression for potential at a point due to a point charge. It is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into q by r. If you remember, instead in case of electric field, the expression was 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into q by r square. There you had r square in the denominator, but here we have only r. I'll just make one more point. Here V is positive when Q is greater than 0 or Q is positive, and V is negative when Q is less than 0 or when the charge Q is negative. So we will move on further. What we have derived here is potential due to one single charge. What if there are number of charges? If you want to find potential due to system of charges, we will apply the law of superposition or superposition principle. So what does it tell? Potential at a given point due to a number of charges is going to be the algebraic sum of potentials due to the individual charges. The potential V is going to be V1 plus V2 plus V3 till Vn. The potential due to individual charges Q1, Q2, Q3, and you can take it till Qn. Okay. And here when I am telling algebraic sum, it means if the charge is negative, in the algebraic sum also I will be taking it as negative. If the charge is positive, in the algebraic sum I will also be taking there as positive. So let us see. So let the potential at P due to Q1 is given by V1, which is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 by R1. Okay, this will be the potential at P due to charge Q1. Similarly, potential at P due to Q2 can be taken as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q2 by R2, and similarly due to some charge Qn or nth charge, I'll write it as Qn by Rn. So finally the total potential is going to be V1 plus V2 plus V3 till Vn. So I can write this as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 by R1 plus 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q2 by R2. I'll proceed similarly. So 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Qn by Rn. If you take the common factors among them, I'll get this as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q1 by R1 plus Q2 by R2, similarly till the nth charge divided by the distance of the nth charge. So this will give me the law of superposition in case of potential at a point due to a number of charges. I just forgot to simplify this. You can further simplify this. This thing can be written as summation the potential to a system of charges can also be written in short as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into summation of Qi by Ri from 1 to nth charge. Now we will see what is the potential going to be at a point P due to a dipole. We had already studied in chapter 1 what is a dipole, which is a system of two equal and opposite charges which is separated by a small distance, and the small distance is taken as 2a. A dipole also has a dipole moment which is represented by small p. The direction of the dipole moment is going to be from minus q to plus q, and the magnitude of the dipole is given by q, magnitude of the either charge into the distance between the charges, q into 2a. In the syllabus, the derivation for potential at a point P due to a dipole is not being mentioned. The PU board syllabus tells to only know the expression. So I will not go into the detail, though you have the detail in your NCERT textbook. I will not be going into the detail. So let us see. So potential due to dipole at a point P, use law of superposition. I will take the midpoint of the two charges as though the distance of the point P from the midpoint as R, the distance of point P from plus Q as R1 and from minus Q as R2. Now we will see what is the potential at P. It is going to be potential due to plus Q plus potential due to minus Q. Potential due to plus Q is going to be 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q by R1, distance of plus Q from P, plus 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into minus q, the charge here is minus q, potential is going to be negative if the charge is less than 0 or if the charge is negative. So we will have to take minus q there, by R2, the distance of minus q from P. Take the common, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. So q is also common here. This will be 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2. I will not go into the detail of deriving the next steps. I will directly write the final expression. On simplifying this, we will arrive at the expression V is equal to q by 4 pi epsilon naught 2a cos theta by r square, where r is the distance of the point P from the midpoint of the dipole. We also know the dipole moment in magnitude is given by q into 2a, so I can further simplify this. If I have to simplify, I will get this as q into 2a is P, so 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into P cos theta by r square. This P cos theta can also be written as vector P into dot product of unit vector r by r square. The dot product of P into unit vector r. Unit vector r is the unit vector along the vector r. So now we see that potential due to a dipole depends upon the angle theta between the position vector r and the dipole moment vector P. So we will move into some special cases of this. What if the point P is somewhere along the axial line? Then the angle made between the dipole moment and the radius vector is going to be 0 or 180 degree. In that case, V is going to be 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught by q by r square. If theta is equal to 0 degree or (180°), and I can write it as plus or minus. If it's cos 180, you will have it as minus 1. So along the axial line, the potential is going to be the maximum in terms of magnitude. What if the point is along the equatorial line? If it is along the equatorial line, the angle between the radius vector and the dipole moment is going to be 90 degree. We know that cos 90 is 0, then potential is going to be 0 and theta is 90 degree. These are the two special cases of potential due to a dipole, one along the axial line and the another one along the equatorial plane. We will move on further. We will end today's session with this last topic, which is comparison of variation of electric potential with distance between a point charge and an electric dipole. So we will see, we had already got potential due to a point charge as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into q by r. So which means for given charge q, the potential is inversely proportional to the distance r, and potential due to dipole we got it as q by 4 pi epsilon naught into 2a cos theta by r square. So here potential due to dipole is inversely proportional to r square. Due to a point charge it is 1 by r and due to a dipole it is 1 by r square. So potential due to a dipole falls more rapidly as you move away from the dipole than potential due to a point charge. In your NCERT, there is a graph been given. The graph is been given to compare the potential due to a point charge and electric field due to a point charge. The same can also be applied to compare potential due to a point charge and potential due to an electric dipole. See, the graph for 1 by R falls like this. You will get a decay curve. Sorry. You will see the graph for 1 by R is more smoother than the graph for 1 by R square. So these two graphs represent the fall in potential due to a point charge and fall in potential due to a dipole. The same graph can also be applied to represent potential at a point and field at a point. The field falls more rapidly than the potential. So this is the end of this session. Thank you.